Hey everybody, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Kathy Hester of Plant-Based Instant Pot and HealthySlowCooking.com. And it may sound like I'm trying to kill a dog, but I am not. It's my poor sweet Maxie. I've just given them both some extra long treats. I was thinking of possibly not doing this live today because he's super obsessed with whatever's running around the backyard. And he believes if he can't make friends with it or eat it, his life is going to be over. So I apologize in advance. It may be a little more whiny than usual. If you're on, please say hi. Let me know you're there and who you are. If you have some questions as we go along, please always put those in the comments. The reason I glance over here is I'm looking for comments on the computer. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to make a Cajun spice blend. And it's so easy. And one of the things I always think about this time of year, because lots of times you get interesting gifts, perhaps that you won't use, or sometimes it's nice. I like to give somebody truffle oil or, an unusual spice blend or something like that. But you can give people things that they really want. I use a Cajun spice blend all the time and I'm out, which is one of the reasons why I want to make it. But there's anything from poultry seasoning to Italian spice blend, and in my books I have a lot of different spice blends. So the Ultimate Vegan Cookbook for your Instant Pot is the recipe we're mostly going to follow today for this Cajun spice blend. But in some of my older cookbooks I have different kinds of Cajun spice blends. Like this one has ground bay leaf, and ground bay leaf I don't have right this second. You can also do something like actually whirl everything up in a spice grinder. So if you wanted to use something like a whole bay leaf or something like that, it's something you can do. And I'll put my Amazon influencer page link here because I have, it's hard to find, but I have a little Ninja and it has a little spice grinder on top. And you may have seen that in some of the other videos. And I just love using that because it really grinds everything up well. And then it seems like a proper store-bought spice blend. And also, while you're thinking of spice blends and different things like that, you can also do anything that's like lentils, rice, and spices. That's something you could put in a mason jar and layer up. You're going to have to print out instructions of how to use it. But I'm going to go ahead and make this Cajun spice blend, and then we'll talk about one other thing that's really easy and inexpensive too. So I'm going to go ahead and let you kind of see overhead. And I usually just get a bowl to mix things in. Now I'm making one batch. You could get a big bowl and make like 15 batches for people that you want to give things to. Like maybe you want to make a whole set. Also, you can get little jars like this at Crate & Barrel for not very expensive. Little spice jars like this are usually around 99 cents. Someplace like World Market, you can often find them at Big Lots and places like that. And if you want to get really fancy, there's these wet jars that are really cool. And I actually got some of these at a thrift store as well. But it doesn't have to be fancy. It really doesn't. It can even just be, or it could be fancy. Like, let me see if I can find my jar that, okay. So this is the jar I keep my poultry spice in. And honestly, I think I paid 99 cents for this at the thrift store. And it's really pretty. So that's something else you could do too. Also, around this time, potters often have sales on seconds. But I still find it's usually a little cheaper to get at the thrift store. And it's fun to go there. So for the Cajun spice blend, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in about 2 teaspoons of regular paprika. And you'll notice no matter what Cajun spice you are used to using, it usually is mostly red color. And that red color is not from pepper, because we are going to put a little cayenne pepper in there too. And you can adjust this to your seasoning. So we're going to take some thyme, and we're going to add 2 teaspoons of thyme in there. And do you see how the thyme is different than the ground cayenne? That's why I was saying you could, if you like, go ahead and grind it in a spice grinder or a coffee grinder. But I recommend that you have something separate so that your coffee doesn't start tasting like Cajun spice. It's not, okay. Then we have choices. And lots of times I give you this choice for oregano or marjoram. Marjoram, if you have both, open them and smell them. The marjoram is a little more floral, and the oregano reminds me always of like grade school pizza, because that's all you could taste on those pizzas. And so this is very green, and it's delicious. Oregano is wonderful. But there's just a little bit of this floral oomph that I think is super nice in a Cajun spice. And we're going to go ahead and put 2 teaspoons of that in too. Do you guys like marjoram or oregano better, or do you just don't care? Either way is fine, really. I just kind of have a preference for it in soups and things like that. We're going to add some garlic powder. Typically, we're going to add a teaspoon. I'm trying to get this lid off. This is how much garlic powder I have, which is about a teaspoon. So I'm just going to go ahead and freehand it in here. And if you're making a new spice blend, I recommend that if you have just the barest bottom layer from your favorite spice blend that you bought that they never make again, which happens to me all the time, you can take that and smell it as you go along until it's just the same. So that's another way that you can kind of make your own. We're going to put a ½ teaspoon of onion powder in here, and I am opening up some new onion powder that I got at Sprouts. I find that these lids are getting harder and harder to get off. So I don't know if it's me getting older or they're getting more secure. They feel very much more secure, even now trying to get that off. So I'm going to do ½ teaspoon. And don't forget too, with garlic powder and onion powder, it's natural. It's just onion and garlic that's been ground, dehydrated, ground, and then put into a bottle. So it's really not that big a deal. Now with the cayenne pepper, it really depends on your spice level. And Cheryl's spice level is like non-existent. So I tend to go towards the lower one. And I'm saying you can do anywhere from a ½ teaspoon to a whole teaspoon. But if you like spice, you could put 2 teaspoons in there. Be aware that when you buy cayenne pepper, chipotle pepper, different things like that that are ground, sometimes some of them are hotter than others. So when you get a new one, I recommend you kind of taste it before you decide you're going to put extra in. Because I bought some extra hot chipotle powder that I can barely use. We're going to do a little bit of black pepper. I'm just going to go ahead and grind it in fine, about a ¼ teaspoon. And again, I want you to realize that these spice blends, the recipes are guidelines, and they're just meant to give you the bare bones. So if you hate pepper, like my friend Dawn hates black pepper, she shouldn't put it in, right? Just leave it out. If you love it more than I do, add more. The weird things that we're going to add in here are a little bit of allspice and a little bit of cloves. These are things you traditionally think about for flavoring like cookies or cake or pumpkin spice and things like that. So what I'm going to say to you is that sometimes there's just a small hint of some of these sweeter spices. And even if you really if you drink cola or you've ever had a Coca-Cola or a different cola, you will taste that as well. And just the barest hint of it, because it's a blend of different things. So we're only going to use a ¼ teaspoon of allspice and an 1/8 teaspoon of cloves. I'm going to go ahead and get the ¼ teaspoon so I can be a little more sure. And you're not going to taste it as strong as you think you're going to, just from watching me put it in. Okay, and then we're going to do just 1/8 of cloves, or you can even do less. And if you're feeling really unsure about these, you can just try it different. You know, maybe try it without the allspice. And I'm just mixing it around right now. And in a way, this is a prettier presentation because it looks kind of nice and pretty and red and green and Christmassy. And anything, see how there's some lumps? I want to make sure those lumps get out for sure, especially because those could be lumps of cayenne. I don't know. It could be paprika, but I don't want to find out the hard way. So to kind of test this out, I really am just going to take a pinch, put it in my mouth. Oh, it's good. I definitely taste the paprika. And there's like a little, you're not sure if you can taste the garlic. I think for Cheryl it can't be any spicier. For normal people it can be spicier. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I would add in there. But I think it's pretty good. Because you've got to remember too, with Cajun spice, what we're doing is this is something we're going to put in like soups and stews or French fries. I like to baked potatoes and sprinkle this over it. And I find it's really good. So the next step for this one is simple. As you can see, this is my sad empty Cajun blend bottle. And then I'm just going to put some in here. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and spice grind it. If I wanted to make sure the taste was as consistent as possible, right? Because then everything would be teeny, 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 tiny. And that's when we... Oh, Misty, thank you so much. Yeah, the shirt I have on, I think I got it at Woot, and it's obviously a Harry Potter shirt. And it's like fake beer. And oh, you can see Broomsticks Brewery in Hogsmeade, England. So I love it. And you might still be able to get it on Woot. I should have brought over some water. Let me see if I have any. Another tip. Always have some water when you put spice blends in your mouth. Since they're not meant to be that way, right? Oh. Cheryl, who's actually logged in as me, it looks like, his plant-based Instant Pot, she's saying she can go ahead and have extra, but what she doesn't realize is that we're going to be using this probably for the next month. So it's better for me to make it a little milder and add in a little bit of extra later on, right? So that's just how simple it is. Now, you might say, oh, but I don't have all these spices, so it's not going to be cheap and easy for me. Well, you can go to either like a local co-op, or often Whole Foods will have those like frontier herbs where you can just get just enough. So you could calculate this out. If I knew I wanted to make 10 bottles, I could calculate it out so that I go and buy exactly what I need. And that even has the benefit of you just dumping everything into a bowl and going. So it's not that expensive. Even though I have some bottles that are like this, this is a grocery store bottle probably from a bazillion years ago that I still use. Don't buy your spices at the grocery store, period. Now, sometimes I will, like, I think I might have gotten this cayenne pepper at Aldi's. Sometimes Aldi's will be pretty good. Sprouts for some of the things weren't bad, but this was for onion powder. Now, if we're looking at, trying to see, do I have any of the Frontier Co-op, those are often that are in the bottles. Because what happens, and see, the Trader Joe's are usually pretty reasonable too. So that's another spot to kind of look at. Simply Organic. These are often very expensive as well. So if you start buying things in bulk, rather than buying the bottles, they're often marked up by 1,000%. So giving somebody a Cajun spice blend, like one of the reasons I kind of do Cajun spice blend as a go-to is no matter what someone's eating style is, typically they'll use that spice. Also, most of the Cajun spices that you can buy are just loaded with salt. Like it's probably 25 to 50% salt. So you're really not getting your money's worth anyhow. Now, if you know someone who wants salt in their blend, you could add some in for them. I tend to like to just use spice blends that are salt-free. And then if I feel like it needs some salt later on, I usually salt and pepper before I serve. And that also leaves me the option, if I have someone who's coming over who doesn't eat salt, that I can leave it out and just serve it on the side as well. So that's just another thing to think about. Okay, so the next thing, I'm going to make this mini version because I realized I don't have a lot of cornstarch. So this may not be something that you eat, though you can get organic cornstarch that's non-GMO cornstarch. This is cheap cornstarch. And what we're going to do with it is we're going to make a scented body powder. And so I really probably just have a couple of tablespoons. And I have a recipe for this too. And on the recipe, I used some rice flour, which I wouldn't use now because I felt like it really made things grainy. And one thing to notice is like, see how soft that is? It's like the best. Brenna says, hello, everyone. It really is just like this luscious feeling powder, and it's soft. It doesn't have anything that's bad for you. Sometimes talc can come from a not such a great source. And there's a couple of things you can do. So I have these cool Christmas oils that I got at Plant Therapy a while back. You don't have to have these. You can have a little bottle of lavender. These are just some Christmas blends that I like. One of them is candy cane. And in this blend, there's peppermint, spearmint, and vanilla. And I wish you could smell this. It's really bright. So the peppermint comes first, and then you kind of have just a little hint of vanilla that kind of mellows it out so it's not so sharp. This would be a good one. There's also Christmas tree, which is more of like fir needle and spruce. And you don't have to get this crazy. You could use lavender. You could use eucalyptus. You could leave it unscented, but I think making the scent is kind of part of it. Now here's the other surprise thing. If you don't have any essential oils at all, if you don't and you want a few, I would go to TJ Maxx or Home Goods because they have some that are real inexpensive, and a lot of them are single essential oils like lemon, lavender, and things like that, and tea tree oil. And actually tea tree oil in a powder can be good if you have some sort of rash or something like that. Another thing you can do, and usually, I haven't checked this year, but usually Trader Joe's has cheap peppermint extract. Now, the peppermint is, because it's an extract and not an essential oil, there is a little bit of alcohol and things like that. Oh, thanks, Finetta. Yeah, I love this too. I don't know if they have it this year or not. Let's see what we've got. And it's Plant Therapy. I actually won this at a conference I went to. I was so excited. And it's kind of fun, especially since I don't have a tree, and I love, we actually got the little, like this little teeny tiny mini tree, but so I can put the Christmas tree essential oil in our diffuser, and our whole house smells like we've got a big giant live tree in it. Oh, Misty, lavender's your favorite? Ooh, apple cinnamon. That'd be really good too. There's never ending amount of these. But if you don't know where to get these and you look in your cabinet, you've got peppermint peppermint extract. If you've got vanilla extract, those are all good things too. You're going to have to be more careful because this just has a big pour spout, right? Whereas, and I think I'll make the candy cane one. Okay. This is going to have a little thing that lets you just put out a drop, right? And so I'm going to try 3 drops. I don't know if you guys could see. There you go. You can kind of see now. Then the next thing I'm going to do is take this clean spoon and I'm just going to move it around. And what I'm trying to do, you don't need to watch that. I can talk to you. And you can smell it in there. So what we want to do is just kind of get that a little more incorporated with the cornstarch. And oh, you can smell it so good. I would try to incorporate it as much as possible. You could put this in like a food processor or something, but I would truly be a little worried about how these essential oils are going to soak into the plastic and bring their flavors somewhere else. If you're doing a big vat of this, like enough for like your entire family or 30 people, you could have a bucket and you could do this as well. And it's so easy, but can you imagine how nice it is to get this silky smooth powder that smells so good? I think I want more than that. I don't think it's, and that's also part of your process, especially when you're using a blend. You might have to double or triple it. What you're going to do is you want to have enough that it smells really good. Add 5 more drops. But typically, you don't want it to overpower, because if someone's putting on peppermint oil and going to work, or peppermint talc powder, they may not want to smell like a candy cane all day. I might, but they may not, right? Ooh, someone says she like, and Vanetta, tell me if I'm not pronouncing your name right. If you can write it phonetically, if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. She likes to mix white grapefruit with peppermint. And I like that. And she's saying now she's thinking some vanilla would be good too. Yeah, that kind of vanilla and citrus is really good. I'm trying to think. This is what I've actually been diffusing in the house for me, is this snow flurry. And it's got blue cypress, sweet orange, and lemon. And that's kind of a neat thing too. So I think citrus ones do really well. And to me, this smells a little more festive. And it's one of those things. Yeah, I smell this much more. And so that makes me happier, because what I would like, especially if I'm giving it as a gift, I want them to open it up and kind of be able to have that really yummy smell. But it's still not so overbearing. Like, I have to get fairly close to smell it. And so I think that's pretty good. And let me let you see. It's kind of a weird thing. And I think when I made it a couple years ago, I kind of made it into more than it needed to be. Vanita. Okay, Vanita. Thank you for explaining how you pronounce your name. It's so hard to know when you're just reading things. But see, it's just soft and fluffy. And you would think that the essential oil would really kind of drag it down, but it doesn't. It just lightly scents it. Okay, so do you guys have any questions about what we did? I think spice blends are awesome. And what we've taken 25 minutes, including me explaining way too many things to you, right? So you probably can make a batch of each of these in 20 minutes or less. And then what you're going to do is put it into something to give. Like, I couldn't find mine because I actually travel with some homemade cornstarch powder like this. And cornstarch is ridiculously cheap. So you could go somewhere and get a big box of cornstarch for almost nothing. And why you may not want to actually use that in cooking, you might prefer to use organic in cooking. For powder, you don't need to go that far unless that's something you just really feel passionate about. And so what I do, and I think I got these at World Market. They were glasses about like this, but instead of having this kind of top, and I'll get back to you, Misty, I promise. It actually has more of like the spice top. So I took this off of the onion powder. So let's take a look. So it's got this glass, and then it's got this thing with the little holes. That's the kind of spice jar or little jar you want for powder, so people can just kind of have the powder come out, right? Okay, and Misty Hayes. I have two Misties today, so welcome. It's a Misty Fest. Misty Hayes Turner says, what oils do I recommend for family members dealing with stress? You can get some specific blends, and I have a couple of specific blends downstairs that are either like for stress or for kind of clearing your mind. I find that lavender is awesome. Lavender really helps me sleep. I deal with some sleep issues sometimes and a little bit of anxiety. So lavender is a good one. You can have all different kinds of combinations. A lot of times I like something like bergamot. And I got, actually I can show you these. Let me grab these really quick. I haven't used these yet, but we got some more at Trader Joe's, which is why I wanted to kind of point these out to you. So it was $10 for 3 little bottles, which is really pretty inexpensive. So, like this has lavender and rose. Rose is often a really nice, relaxing kind of self-care smell. Some people hate it. So I love to eat and drink things that taste like rose and lavender too. So take my opinion with a grain of salt. There is a blend in here called Joy, and it has a very strong jasmine flavor, so it's super floral, but it's got bergamot, geranium, lemon, coriander seed, mandarin, pomarosa, which I'm not sure, and rose. And so I thought that would be kind of a nice, happy, less work a lot. This is their Cozy Fireside blends. Actually, they're not blends, they're single ones. Well, no, it says, I would have thought they were single, but they're not all. Oh, I love rose, and I love to put rose water in teas and in coffee syrups and things. So definitely, if you like lavender and rose, try mixing them together in a culinary use as well. Not these. So I wouldn't put this rose essential oils. There's only one brand of essential oils that you can use with food, and I'm not sure what it is. It's not going to be the one you get at Trader Joe or TJ Maxx. But I do have, and actually, it just, here's some culinary. So you're going to see it called rose water or orange blossom water. And these are awesome. Yeah, and so this is just a tiny fraction of the amount of oils they had. So this has a vanilla, which is just vanilla oil and sunflower oil. The cedarwood is just cedarwood oil. And I thought that might be kind of nice and grounding. And there's a sandalwood. And in this sandalwood oil, it has a bunch of other things in it. It also has some cedarwood, vanilla, and bergamot. And I like it a lot. So that would be a nice grounding blend, I think, if someone's experiencing some anxiety as well as some stress. I am not an essential oil expert, but I have been using them for myself for a long time. Also, if you're looking for some diffusers, they had some pretty neat diffusers. If you guys can see the thing behind me with the green, that's a diffuser we got at TJ Maxx. I think it was like $25. So I find that a lot of times some of this stuff is a little cheaper there. You can also be on the lookout at Home Goods and TJ Maxx for different spice blends. Sometimes some vegan pre-made cookies. I've gotten some things like that. I've actually gotten some vegan bacon sriracha there. So you just never know. And it's not old stuff in the food section there. It's actually brand new. So like manufacturers want to sell them more, but they only buy a certain amount to keep it feeling scarce. So you're good for that. And I think it's doTERRA, but that you can use and actually put in food, but I would definitely read up on that. I would hate to tell you for sure since I'm not a doTERRA representative, and I don't know if all of those oils can be ingested or just some of them. So, but do a little research. I know I've used a lemon oil in baking before that was really delicious. But I wouldn't, anything that I buy like this that I don't really know the brand that well, I'm not going to eat it. It's great for smelling though. So it's not like this is a bad thing to do. It's a great thing, and they're only like $3 for a little bottle. Whereas sometimes these can go up to, I don't know, even like what, 15, 20, depending on the oil and how much they have to use to extract. Usually rose is a little more expensive. But like I said, we're trying to do this on the cheap, but I think with the powders too, like if you know someone who's kind of having a cold, you could also have a powder with eucalyptus, and that kind of helps soothe and kind of helps open your nose. So I have some different blends that are actually for kind of respiratory things. So, and that's a whole long involved thing, but you can also just go to Trader Joe's, buy yourself some peppermint extract. Just be very careful about only putting a few drops at a time in, because it would be really easy to pour this whole like teaspoon in, and then it'd just be mud instead of this beautiful, silky, one ingredient body powder. And the reason I started making this years ago is because I had bought one at a vegan fest that was just like awesome. And I think it was like lavender or rose. It was something unusual, and I was so sad when it was gone, and I just looked on the back and it was cornstarch. I think they may have put in some rice flour as well. And if you can get some really fine milled white rice flour, you could add that in as well. But I don't see the need. I like it just like this. So it reminds me of like luxurious bath powder. So like if you could find a little dish and one of those little poofs, that would make a really cool kind of display for your Christmas gift. Do you guys have any other questions? You can find spice blends on both my sites usually. So there's plantbasedinstantpot.com and healthyslowcooking.com. Also, on either one of those, I have lots of coffee syrups. So I just posted yesterday my gingerbread maple syrup. So, and I'm giving you a way to do it without maple as well. But basically, you infuse spices just like we did, I think, was it the fall syrup that we did online, another video about? But I have the fall syrup. I have the juniper rosemary citrus syrups. And those would also be cute in some little bottles. You just want to make sure if you're giving those as gifts, you write what the ingredients are and tell people to store it in the fridge. Because, you know, we're not bottling it for keeping forever like they might be used to having things from the store. So that would be my one caveat. I can't really think of anything else right now. But if you guys have some more questions, hopefully next week I'll be doing the gingerbread syrup. Or if you have some ideas of things you want, like is there another spice blend you want to see? Is there, just leave me some suggestions about what you want to see me do live next Tuesday. I'm planning on, I don't think that's like Christmas Eve or anything. I'm really not sure. I have no idea what day it is. But I'm planning on doing one then. If it turns out that it's on the middle of a holiday, then I'll do it either before or after. But I'm always here for your questions. And don't forget to join the Facebook group, my private free Facebook group, Vegan Recipes, Cooking with Kathy Hester. And so hopefully I'll see you guys there. And if you make any of these for presents, I really want to see pictures. I would love to see that. And Missy's asking me, do I have a recipe for gingerbread to make a house with? I do not. I don't have that like hard gingerbread cookie. I do have a gluten-free gingerbread recipe that's more of like cake-like. Christmas is next Tuesday. Thank you, Vania. Then I will not be doing this next Tuesday, but tell me what you want to see in the future. If there's something present-wise you want to see, I might do it later in the week or over the weekend if there's something else. If not, I guess I'll take Tuesday off. It'll be very exciting. Max will probably be very quiet and happy. So anyhow, happy holidays to all of you. Merry Christmas, since I will not be talking to you on Tuesday. And any of the other holidays that I don't know about. I hope that you guys are having a wonderful winter. And I hope that today helps you feel like you can give something that you're really proud to give people without really breaking the bank or going into debt. And Misty's asking where can she find my gingerbread recipe. You can find it on healthyslowcooking.com. It is not a slow cooker recipe. It is a oven recipe, and it uses teff flour, so it's gluten-free. If you didn't want it to be gluten-free, you probably could substitute either whole wheat pastry flour or unbleached wheat flour. Okay, so guys, be sure to give me pictures, and I'll talk to you soon.